Good evening, guys, and what is going on, y'all? This is the Club of the Man 1993, and once again, we are live for my live review of this Tuesday night edition of NXT, the May 18th, 2021 edition of NXT that will place at the Capitol Wrestling Center. I maybe someday finally figure out where on earth the Capitol Wrestling Center is located, because I still don't know. All I know, it's somewhere in Florida. Will they ever go back to Full Sail? I have no idea. But, that's that. Let's talk about the show really quick, because I want to talk about the show, take my shower, and play some Mario Party before I go to bed tonight, because I am hooked on my Switch. Anyways, so, overall, compared to last week, this was a much better episode of NXT. It was solid. It wasn't, it's nowhere close to what NXT was at one point. But I definitely enjoyed it more than I did last week's show. Last week's show just bored me to death. I'm sorry, I wasn't too crazy. Last week's show felt very pointless. We had a fantastic main event title match in the steel cage. We had a couple of promos. We have a little bit of a direction going for NXT TakeOver in Your House, which there was a few things that happened on the show that to me kind of just threw my my predictions that I'm going to try to do sometime this week up in the air for NXT TakeOver in Your House. It's taking place next month, so we'll try to get that figured out as well. But we had some solid matches on the show and still some weird hokey stuff, but like I said, definitely a better episode of NXT than last week's. So without further ado, let's get started and talk about this show. We opened up with the rematch from the pre-show of NXT TakeOver Stand and Deliver. Can't remember which night it was, one of the two nights, between Toni Storm and Zoe Stark. A good match. These two definitely, work fairly well together, I will say. They came out and just immediately started fighting. Shoot, what was I going to say here? It was basically the enough talking, let's fight type of match. And it was pretty good. The match ended, though. Toni Storm actually hit a Storm Zero, which Zoe Stark kicked out of, which is strange. So then Toni Storm does like some type of like a head first, drills Zoe Stark head first into the canvas and pins her. It's kind of like a little bit of it was like a debut and like a new finishing maneuver, which Toni could use with her heel character. After the match, though, Toni won. Obviously, with 50-50 booking there. Afterwards, though, we have Frankie Monet arrive once again with her entrance music, which is pretty dope, I will say. They stare down Toni Storm, but basically, I guess they were teasing. I'm not sure if the date, because Frankie Monet's debut is going to be next week, so I'm not sure if it's going to be her and Toni Storm there, or if they're going to wait for TakeOver in Your House to do Frankie Monet and Toni Storm. Quite frankly, no pun intended, I kind of hope they say at TakeOver in Your House, they do Frankie Monet and Io Shirai. That's who I go with there. Io, of course, is storyline-wise resting up before, obviously, there was a little bit of a fire lit into a possible feud with her and Frankie before she went on her little break. I don't know though. I'm starting to see why is Toni Storm starting to feel like the heel that's like the heel putting people over basically. Which it's her job, but I still think again I know Raquel's trying her best. I still think it should have been Toni Storm dethroning Io. Toni or Candice, I still think. But we'll see what happens. Even if it is Toni who faces Frankie Monet at TakeOver in Your House, I'm sure it will still be a good match. But we will have to see. We have a backstage segment with Legado del Fantasma talking about MSK But around came Thatcher and Ciampa saying that MSK that Legado del Fantasma can go to the back of the line. Basically, and then it ends up with Legado del Fantasma challenging them to a match later on in the show. You also get a video package of Cameron Grimes arriving and Ted DiBiase gets a valet parking spot in place of him. And yeah, that jazz again. Before we get to what Cameron Grimes' match was, we also have a segment with Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell having a spa day. They don't realize though that Dexter Loomis was giving them massages, which, why are they still doing this whole stuff with Dexter Loomis and the way, if Dexter Loomis did not even get a title shot from Johnny Gargano? It still is driving me nuts. Why are they still continuing this, even though it's kind of geared more towards a love story between Indy Hartwell and Dexter Loomis, which is creepy as hell? Why are they still doing the storyline? Like, it's so pointless to me because, again, it's not, Dexter's not getting anything out of it. So why they continue? I don't know. But anyways, Dexter gives them the massages, although he leaves in disgrace after Hartwell agrees with LeRae that he's such a loser. I guess I'm talking about Loomis. I can't remember for sure, but that. And they were also getting a video package hyping up. I thought we were going to say the takeover, but I guess not. We're having Karrion Kross and Finn Balor in a rematch next week for the NXT Championship, which we'll see how that one goes. Cameron Grimes took on Jake Atlas, and Jake Atlas wins thanks to a distraction from the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase again. I don't know about you guys. I'm just really getting sick of this stuff with Cameron Grimes and Ted DiBiase. Like, why is it every single week we're seeing Cameron Grimes just get one up by Ted DiBiase? Like, what's it going to lead to in the long run? Like, it's just really starting to get annoying me because it's really doing nothing for anybody. Like, it's doing nothing for Cameron Grimes, making him look like an idiot, and, it's dumb. We also get a video package on Bronson Reed making a promise to make 14 years of blood, sweat, and tears worth it to his wife tonight, as I believe May 18th, 2007 was Bronson Reed's first ever match, and 14 years later he could be winning his first singles title, well, in NXT at least. We also have an interview segment with Pete Dunne, basically saying, what's next for him. Dunne says he's proven himself against Kushida, but he wants a title. And then he's mentioning how guys, he has unfinished business with Walter, since the UK is his brand. He's talking about Johnny Gargano, though he's been in the ring once, but he won. Karrion Kross, though, he wants to go for the NXT title. And he doesn't care, what people think of all this blah, blah, blah. I don't know, like I said, it was kind of like a, around in circles thing. Like, we've been seeing for weeks. Pete Dunne's like, yes, I have new goals. I'm this and that. I want to be the baddest man. All this stuff. But it's like, okay, but it's like it feels like he's just like staying in the same place at this point. Like, the heel turn was fresh, but like I said, he doesn't feel like a viable. What I'm trying to put here? He feels like he's just a guy there to put people over now, and I don't know about that. I think, even though, once again, I know a lot of people don't want to go to the main roster, but there's some people like, Pete Dunne or Tommaso Ciampa or Johnny Gargano. It's literally done everything they can in NXT. It may be time for them to either go to the main roster or just go somewhere else, because their options in NXT have pretty much ran out, in my opinion. So there's that, and then we have Alexander Wolf taking on Killian Dane, which was weird because I totally forgot that these two were tag partners at one point in Sanity. And then Killian Dane wins. It was basically a squash. But after the match, though, while the other three members were standing united of Imperium, Marcel Barthel and Fabian Eichner then beat down on Alexander Wolf. Um, and I guess Alexander Wolf's kicked out of Imperium or something. I don't know. That felt too soon. So I don't know if again I don't know if that really was who knows. I don't know again if that's a if that's a who knows? I felt like it was too soon. That's all I'm gonna say. I basically felt like that was too soon of a split for Imperium right there. I don't know. I wasn't the biggest fan of them splitting them up there, so we'll see what happens. I don't know if Wolf's gonna be a single star or what they're gonna do with him next. Who the hell knows? So we have that. Then let me just check something here real quick because I'm looking like I'm having a playback error for some reason. It's showing. We'll see how it comes out afterwards. Oh well, it's being weird, but we'll see what happens. Anyways, backstage we see an interview between um, what's their faces, Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez. Gonzalez mentioned how she beat Mercedes Martinez, but she has no problem with saying she respects her. The Dakota's like on the other hand would have kicked her head off. Obviously, he's starting to tease a little bit of tension between the two in a possible split. Everrise interrupts him, trying to explain and interrupts them, but then Kai tells them they're trying to go after the women's tag titles, and Everrise trying to put on a show or something, and then Gonzalez slaps the crap out of them. And, you know, weird as heck. I don't care for Everrise one bit, as you can tell. What's it called? We also have we didn't have a decent match between Tommaso Ciampa and Timothy Thatcher taking on Legado del Fantasma. Obviously, they're teasing Legado del Fantasma as the more serious contenders. I think they're going to be getting a match against MSK next week. But, as I always say, I'm just not really... I still don't take them super duper seriously, Legado del Fantasma. They're decent, but, I don't see them as, the biggest, standouts. I still see them like jobbers who are trying to become something more. I don't know. Like I said, it's unsure of whether or not, what I think of them. Just my opinion. Bobby Fish explained his actions last week to Mackenzie Mitchell. He's back now, and that means there's a debt to be paid. He can't think of a better place than to start with Pete Dunne. He claimed this match that nobody wants, and I find that funny because that's the only match he's interested in. Next week, we're going to see Bobby Fish take on Pete Dunne. And, of course, it is kind of a little bit of a rematch from back in the days of the Broserweights. And we're still asking ourselves, how much fish could Bobby Fish fry if Bobby Fish could fry fish? How much fish could Bobby Fish fry if Bobby Fish could fry fish? Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. Anyways, back at the spa, Candice's credit card declined. Indy and Candice tried to blame it on Austin Theory ordering pizzas. But then the clerk says there was an unpaid charge 3 weeks ago from a florist. Hartwell puts two and two together, realizes that the flowers sent to Shotzi and Ember didn't come from Loomis, they came from Candice LeRae. And of course, Indy's like, oh my gosh, he still loved me, which made no sense to me. Candice was disgusted that her ruse had been exposed. But then meanwhile, Johnny is vowing that he is untouchable, and Austin Theory just throws up that Wade's hand sign, hype up their match later on in the show. Saray would then beat Aaliyah with Robert Stone and Jesse Camilla. Shotzi Blackheart and Ember Moon cut a promo how they're back for going after the women's tag titles. They're going to TCB. Shotzi Blackheart with Ember's Law. Ow. And then Ember says that's what she said and everything. I'm still wondering, what the heck does TCB stand for? I'm still trying to figure that one out. What in the world does TCB stand for? Who knows? I'll maybe figure it out someday. Who knows? We have Hit Row then squash Tony Nese and Arya Daivari. Very dominating victory. We'll see where they go with this. And then Isaiah Swerve Scott basically says that he's coming after the winner of the North American title match in the main event. Which, fine by me. Giving Swerve finally a title shot against either Gargano or Reed. We'll see about that. Legado del Fantasma will be facing NXT in 2 weeks for the NXT tag titles. And we're going to see Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart take on Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez also next week as well. Probably to determine, who's going to fight for the women's tag titles, even though shouldn't Ember and Shotzi get a rematch? Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. I didn't want to see that match happen for the millionth time between The Way and Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart. Oh, boy. And then we have the main event. Johnny Gargano versus Bronson Reed for the NXT North American Championship inside of a steel cage. This was a very, very well done steel cage match. Did it have to be steel? Not quite, but it was still pretty darn good, as it did do its job in keeping Austin Theory out of the way most of the time that they could. There was a couple crazy spots. Johnny did kind of like a backflip or something like that. Tried to do like a Panama Sunrise or something like that, or Quran or something on Reed. That was pretty sick. We had a couple other nice good near falls, but Bronson Reed just fought like a great big man, and obviously the simple story of giving the babyface man with the promos about his family and whatnot, and then eventually after a big power bomb off of the top rope, and then he went over, slammed the cage door shut, and did his splash, his tsunami splash on Johnny, and Bronson wins the championship. Bronson Reed is your North American champion, which I'm like, okay, not the best choice in my opinion, but still a pretty good choice. Bronson's still growing on me, but him being champion, I'm fine with it. I guess he'll be facing Isaiah Swerve Scott at TakeOver in your house, since he's basically going after whoever wins the North American title, which kind of hope Scott wins. Even though I'm not a big fan of him being a heel, I like him more than Bronson Reed, definitely. So, we'll see how that goes. But yeah, excellent main event. Bronson Reed's your new NXT North American champion. And guys, that's going to do it. Gave the show B-. Solid show. Great main event. A couple of odds and ends that were good. A couple weird spots, but it is what it is. That's going to do it, guys. Once again, what are your thoughts on NXT this week? Leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. Be sure as always to slap a like on the video and subscribe for more content to my channel. And follow me on Twitter at DemandAir93. Till then, guys, I'd check it out. I'll see you all later. Have a great rest of your night. Peace out, everybody.